So here's our Filipino style of Salisbury steak. We call it burger steak. It's as close to Jollibee burger steak that you can get if you're nowhere near Jollibee. And for those of you that don't know what Jollibee is a fast food chain in the Philippines. It's similar to McDonald's in America. Here are the ingredients we're going to need for our burger steak. We're going to need half a cup of finely chopped white onion. You can chop it finely or you can use a food processor to kind of like close to pureeing it. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. If you don't have breadcrumbs, just use you can use all-purpose flour. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of evaporated milk, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of ground pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 pieces of egg, and about 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm using a 80 to 20 ratio on this, which means 80% lean and 20% fat. You kind of need the fat for this so that they don't crumble and fall apart when you're eating it. And here are the ingredients for the gravy. We're going to need 2 cups of water, half a cup evaporated milk, 3 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, which will just pretty much give it that darker color, 1 piece of beef or pork bouillon, but I'm using the powder version, and I prefer the pork over the beef for this dish, 1 can sliced mushroom, and we're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter at the end of cooking to thicken that gravy. Now we're going to start making our burger mixture. So we have already our 2 eggs in our bowl. Next thing we're going to do is add in our onion. I use a food processor to finely mince that. Just put it in there. Next we're going to need about 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce, about 2 tablespoons of evaporated milk, next is going to be 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs. Now the breadcrumbs is going to be the binding agent here to keep our shape. So we're going to need 2 tablespoons of that. Season with salt and pepper. So it's going to be 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of ground pepper. We're going to first mix this together. Then we're going to add in our ground beef. If there's some leftover onion chunks, just remove them. Or if you don't mind having it, it doesn't matter. All right, so that's all combined. We can add in our ground beef. Just mix everything together until they're all well incorporated. Again, if you're finicky, you don't like touching the meat, you can use a spatula or anything. So just continue doing this until everything's all mixed together. After you're mixing together all our ingredients, we're going to start making our patties. So first, there's so many ways of doing it. So I'm going to show you one way if you don't have much gadgets. So just using two saucer plates or two small plates. Cover it with parchment paper. Parchment paper will help prevent it from sticking to each other when you're putting one on top of the other. So pretty much just grab a handful and make a ball out of it. Kind of like making a meatball. So put that between the parchment paper and press down on it. Then there's one of your patties. So that's one way of doing it. One way I like to do is by using a press or a burger press and using an ice cream scoop so that everything is the same size and everything's pretty consistent. So first we're going to use our ice cream scoop. So pretty much in every single one of them, you're going to get the same amount. So when you make that burger press, it's all going to be consistent. They're all going to be the same size, same thickness, everything. So first we're going to do is put a parchment paper and then put in our meat patty, cover it up, and then just press it down. So when you pull it out, you have that nice consistent size all throughout. And it has that nice ridge shape on it also. So I'm going to start doing this for the rest of them, and then we'll be back when we're done making our patties. So we finished making our burger patties. I put some in a bowl. We're going to be leaving this in the fridge. And these ones, I put them in a Ziploc bag so we can put in a freezer for later use. Now we're going to make our gravy. So in a medium saucepan, we're heating up the 2 cups of water. We set our heat to medium, and then we'll heat up our 2 cups of water. Add in half a cup evaporated milk. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1 can of sliced mushroom. You can add in 1 piece of beef bouillon or 1 teaspoon of beef powder, but on this one I'm gonna be using a pork powder instead. I prefer the pork flavor over the beef for some reason. Let's just stir it around. Then once it starts to boil, we're going to be adding in our flour to thicken it. Now it started to boil, we're going to start adding in our flour. So we're going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Then constantly whisk so you have no clumps. So after whisking it for a while, you'll notice our gravy is thick. It will get thicker once it's cooled down. And now's the perfect time to taste it and adjust accordingly. It has a nice mild flavor. You can add in more pork or beef powder if you want, a little salt or some pepper. Last time I made this, I put too much of that pork powder and it was very salty. So this is in a mild version, so I'll leave it to you to season accordingly to your taste. So for now, this is pretty much done. Turn off the heat and set it aside. Again, this will thicken up later once it's cooled down. With our gravy done, let's set it aside and start making our burger patties, or start cooking our burger patties. We'll set our heat to medium high for now, and then we're going to lower the heat later once it's up to temperature. Now our pan is hot. We're going to start adding in our burger patties. Hear that sizzle? See, these are helpful because they don't stick to each other, and it helps them from sticking to each other. So we're going to continue cooking this for about 3 minutes per side, depending on the thickness. So these are not that thick, so probably 3 minutes is good enough, and then we're going to flip it and cook for another 3 minutes. Remember, when you're cooking this, try not to move them around. Just let it get that nice crust in the bottom before flipping it, because it's going to start breaking and falling apart if you do mess with it too much. Again, if you're using leaner type of meat, it will be, they will start to crumble because they don't have that fat to kind of hold them together. It should be good enough to flip them over now. So it's been probably 2 to 3 minutes. That is what you want. That is not burnt. That's perfect for a burger. There you go. So cook it again for another 3 minutes, and these burgers should be done. Also, for some of those that likes to kind of mash that burger because it's like bulging, if you do keep on doing that, it's gonna just release all that juice, so it's gonna leave your burger patty dry. So it's up to you. You can, I know it looks tempting to kind of smash it down, but I would leave it as is. So we'll continue cooking it for 3 minutes, and they should be done. So after cooking for 3 minutes, let's turn off the heat and plate our dish. All right, let's put our patty on our plate. Now you can put this in a bun, kind of like a burger, but if you do that, you can't really add in the gravy because it's gonna make the bread soggy. So traditionally, with this dish, kind of like a Salisbury steak, you eat it with gravy and then mashed potatoes or rice if you prefer. So now we're gonna add in our gravy. If it's too thick, you can just add in more water. So this is ready for me. I would just add in probably some rice, and then that's a meal already.